Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
What spooks you the most /x/? What keeps you awake at night?
Tsunamis are pretty scary. My mom's side of the family all have nightmares about them, myself included. That feeling when standing motionless, watching the wave approaching, frozen in terror. Or trying desperately to run as it approaches, but obstacles keep getting in your way, like running through a crowded parking lot trying to reach safety. Or you are on a cliff higher than the wave, but then you look down and your loved ones are at the bottom of the cliff about to get wrecked. I don't even live in a coastal city.
I think my brain used to be broken. This used to happen to me as a kid, and I just wanted Ekka's input because this is really the only board I lurk on, and it is at least strange. Okay, pretty short story. Be young me, probably around 10. At night, a strange thing starts to happen where my mind will not stop pushing thoughts into my head. I literally can't stop thinking. Not in a cool, beautiful mind way. Just random thoughts pushing in and out. Like having a song stuck in your head. How it pushes in at the worst time. Like that, but any thought comes in. That's the only way I can describe it. As an adult, I know the difference between racing thoughts at night and whatever this was. This hasn't happened to me in a long time, and I dread it ever happening again. In before seizures. I accept this may be the case. Another reason I am posting instead of trying to Google racing thoughts at night and shift through all the crap about racing thoughts at night. I know what it is to lie awake at night, to not be able to stop thinking and waste hours and hours of precious sleep time, and wonder the next day why you let yourself do that. It doesn't feel like something you can control, but with meditation and some quiet time to go over your thoughts during the day, you can start to avoid it. This was literally thoughts, fairly banal thoughts and things about the day mostly, coming and then going before they could even finish. One thought didn't bleed into another, they were crashing. Every new thought brought a new wave of headache near the center of my brain, and it built and built and built. I can remember it very well, I can almost feel it when I think about. Be me having these every few weeks for years. Don't tell anybody because I'm a kid with a family who doesn't let you stay home from school unless you are literally dying. I think being sick and having problems are just things you deal with. About 15, have this again one night. I want it to stop. That's another thing about this. I still had my own train of thought. I kept wanting it to stop, hoping it would stop, thinking in my head, please stop, please stop, please stop. And there were other thoughts still. The thoughts were still there behind my thoughts, in front of them, blaring out while I was hoping it would stop. It finally did, staring up at the ceiling in the dark. Suddenly hear a loud beep, bright flash of light, ears ringing. Thoughts have stopped. Back to just me. I don't know what happened, honestly grateful that it did, no more thoughts. Only happens once a year at most after that. 18, start college, hasn't happened since. And that is my story. After I got older and started getting weird looks when I had people about this, I looked into it. At first I thought I had seizures. I have other theories like left brain / right brain solo consciousness theory. Or possibly I was entering a stage REM sleep too early and was processing the thoughts that I would be processing in my sleep while I was awake. I'm sure others will scream psyop or aliens, but I don't know. And like I said, seizures are always an option. I have also heard of exploding head syndrome, which does sound like the thing that happened when I saw the bright light and heard the beep. What do you think happened to Nons? I really want to know.
Well, if the thoughts were really blaring, it probably wasn't directed at you, you know? Maybe you're really sensitive, maybe you have loud neighbors.
Like mentally loud? Yeah, I had thought of the idea that it might have been some weird psychic interference after being /x/ for a while. If so, I'm glad I turned it down a bit.
I'm scared I'm going to die doing something impulsive. I'm scared that I'm going to lose control and do something stupid and break my neck or get brain damaged, and I'll be dead before I even reach 30. I'm scared that my death will be out of my hands. Mostly I'm scared that someone will kill me, that someone will abduct me and torture me and then kill me and throw me in a ditch. I couldn't stand having someone have that kind of power over me. I get scared when I realize that everyone around me is going to die. That someday everyone I know will be dead and I'll be dead and life will move on and no one will remember the things we've done and the bonds we've made. I don't want to be forgotten. I don't want the people I love to be forgotten. I'm scared that I will never be happy. I'm scared that I will never be who I want to be.
that this horrible 23-day bout of the loudest tinnitus of my life will never end. It has pretty much ruined me. I have Meniere's disease badly, and I've changes my entire life to manage it. No alcohol, no tobacco, ketogenic and unprocessed diet, little caffeine, lose 70 pounds. 23 days ago, my tinnitus went from a 1 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 and has gone unabated in spite of high-dose steroid treatment for 3 weeks. I'm terrified, and I don't know if I can live this life any longer. I wake up soaked in sweat as the sound hits a 10, and I can't fall back asleep. I've new job responsibilities that I'm struggling to meet.
I had a coworker who became my friend who ended up being a violent, manipulative psychopath stalker. I still get sort of spooked that he might be watching me, or that he might come back for some stupid reason, which wouldn't make any sense. If he is a psychopath, he has nothing to gain by coming back here.
That by thinking or fantasizing about a situation or something I'd like to have happen to me, like winning the lottery, or asking a girl out and her saying yes, I'm automatically ensuring that those situations don't come to pass. Because what are the odds reality plays out exactly, or even similar to what I envisioned? What also occasionally disturbs me is the idea that reality does follow what I envisioned down to the letter. What would that mean? How would that make me feel? Or maybe this sounds incredibly stupid, I don't know.
I think you're right about extreme situations like winning the lottery. But with things a little more down to earth, I think you can actually increase your chance of it coming to pass. Like if you think day and night about getting in shape, you're more likely to get off your butt and do it. But here's a thought. If you leave the house every day worrying that you'll get in a car crash, do you reduce your chances of it happening because you could say, I knew it, if it did? Or are you increasing your chances of it happening?
You just described exactly how I always feel. I spend so much time thinking of what can happen in my life, and I'm so afraid I'm nullifying all potential events that could happen.
I know that feeling. By thinking certain things are an impossibility, you are, in a way, making it impossible for yourself to be put into a situation in which you'll acquire such things. But to will for those things to happen can be just as bad. Try to think in between the two, where both good and bad things can happen to you. It's necessary to have that balance.
Was a kid playing in the street with brothers. Some dude starts running down the cul-de-sac screaming he's trying to kill me, and a dude with a hammer turns the corner. We nope it inside, tell me with the doors locked, call 911, and they're like, don't worry. We stay hidden for like half an hour or more, then peek out windows. No cops, no dudes, nothing. Never heard anything about it again. We lived in a nice gated community too.
What scares me the most is the possibility of there being nothing after death. Specifically, not being able to experience my family and loved ones anymore.
Think of it this way. Supposing the only life we live is the perception of the current life we have once we die, one of the logical conclusions would be that non-existence exists, but at the same time it can't. What I mean is that once you die, you start from the beginning again. You are born again because the only existence you know is the current existence, because existence and consciousness is only the experience of your own perception. With this in mind, what makes me scared is, if what I just said happens to be true, having a really crappy life. Like being one of those people that get abducted by some Christian and get tortured until they die. If my whole existence is going to repeat itself over and over again for all eternity, then I want it to be a good existence, at least a painless one.
What keeps you awake at night? You know when you have to use the bathroom at night and you go in, do your business, then wash your hands and avoid looking into the mirror? You know that moment when you're staring for too long and you're really tired, so you start to believe your reflection will do some cheeky thing to expose itself as a separate entity? That keeps me up at night. There's another mirror right in front of the bathroom door, so on my way out, right after turning off the lights, I get a peek at the mirror showing the reflection of the dark bathroom I just walked out of, and my mind plays more tricks on me. And every time I look into it, I see something in there. So I walk out, turn off the lights, and quickly close the goddamn door. Then there's the times when you turn off your PC at night, or your lamp screws up so it's pitch black in there. Better close your eyes because they know that you know they're there, waiting to scream in your face for opening your eyes to look around in the dark. Better keep your arms and legs in the bed too. Wouldn't want some hungry asshole licking you like in that popular pasta about humans that can lick hands too or some shit. God damn it, man. You know those times when you got and take out the trash and you forgot to, and it's late outside, but you have to do it anyways? I always gotta stay on the defensive because there could be a clown in my neighbor's dark backyard with a bat ready to knock me out and move me to a van or something. There's been reports of clowns doing illegal crap too. That could happen.
Not quite the same thing, but I'm always terrified of my own mind at night. I personally pretty firmly believe that many and most reports of hauntings, abductions, etc. are self-inflicted by the mind, usually when drowsy or preoccupied and at night. So when it's dark, I'm tired, and I go to grab something from the kitchen or so. I keep imagining myself suddenly seeing something in the corner of my eye, or hallucinating a disturbing image when opening a door or something. I end up picturing in my mind what it might look like, recalling creepy images, etc., and imagining them superimposed on what I'm seeing. The more I visualize and think about seeing creepy stuff, the more it feels like I might just actually hallucinate seeing something like that, and I'm terrified of every corner, door, reflection, etc., due to the possibility of it manifesting itself there. It's like people say, your own mind is the best at scaring you, and nothing is worse than nothing. The fact that I haven't seen anything to this date makes it even more terrifying, rather than reassuring, because it feels like it's overdue for happening.
I used to drive by 2 signs every day. For years. Drove to high school. Drove to college. Drove to work. Right by these signs. One was a hair salon. The other was for a car wash. The car wash one had 2 badly designed cars. A truck and a red sports car. The hair salon just had a woman's face and said Vicky's Salon. They were the same for 8 years. One day on my way to work I got stuck in traffic, right in front of the signs. They changed. The car wash sign was now the hair salon sign. Where the truck was is now scissors, and where the red car was is now a hair dryer. The former salon sign is now just a woman's face, and it says something about Vicky being a realtor. I checked, and they claim those signs have been there forever. I don't know.
Sometime around November 2012, my mom was driving me to the Buddha HEB via Old San Antonio Road when I spotted a giant floating cube in the sky. It's hard to say what color it was, but I'd liken it to bismuth covered in moss. I told her to look up and she saw it as well. Then, without any transition whatsoever, the cube was replaced with a passenger jet. Like 1 millisecond it was a cube, the next it was a plane. I know it wasn't an illusion or us looking at it from the wrong angle because 1. The cube was at least 50% larger from my perspective. 2. The cube had several lights around the contours of its edges, far more than a passenger plane would have on its wings. They were placed very deliberately so you could easily make out the shape. The morning after, I woke up and inexplicably got an urge to look out my window. There was a parked white car there, no driver or passengers. Then, without warning, the car was replaced with a yellow Penske truck which drove off. Suffice to say, there was no trace of the car, and there's no way they could have driven off side by side since the car was closer to my curb and I would have noticed. Early 2015, we visited a Waffle House to get some hash browns, capped and smothered the patrician way. As we were leaving the parking lot, a car appeared behind us. It never backed out from any spot. There was no back entrance it could have come from. It made absolutely no sound. The driver was an old man with white hair and smooth skin. This man was not in the restaurant. Mom drove off and turned left up the hill into the hotel parking lot which overlooked the restaurant. I looked back down and the car was in the same exact spot. The driver showed absolutely no signs of motion and kept staring straight forward for a solid 90 seconds before finally driving off and turning right onto the highway. His hands never touched the steering wheel. Could have been a self-driving car with a mannequin inside or something, but it was surreal and echoed memories of the prior 2 events. I had already been working at my first job for about a year. During lunch break, I went to the nearby 7-Eleven to get some taquitos and sat in the parking lot of the thrift store I worked at to eat them. At the far left side of the lot, there sat a large tan van. An old bald man wearing a full brown pantsuit and hat got out and walked right toward the entrance of the store. Every single car he walked past either had its alarms, horns go off, or headlights start flashing. The overhead lampposts began to flicker as well. I was about done with my food and didn't really want to be alone, caught in the middle of all that. So I ran back toward the entrance myself. The man had walked past the entrance and continued in a straight line across the intersection, without so much as looking for incoming cars. I turned back, and the van the man came from was gone, and then too was the man. A few months after that incident, my life was put on pause due to sleep-related issues, namely my brain thinking there's 25.5 hours in a day, so I wake up later each night. So I lost my job and haven't had any odd encounters since, probably because I rarely leave the house. My mom took up working at Walmart to pick up my slack. Around February this year, she claimed to see me in her store, wearing a shirt identical to one of mine, walking with my gait and holding a water bottle by its cap rather than the shaft, something I'd typically do. She called out to me, thinking I had somehow come to visit her during her shift, despite being a mongoloid without a driver's license. After I turned a corner, she lost track of the doppelganger and saw it no more that night. Suffice to say, I was in my bed sleeping during this, wearing the same shirt. I'm sure none of this is super interesting, but I feel they're all connected somehow, mainly due to the fact the encounters happen roughly 2 years from each other, and always involve something or someone being out of place before disappearing. I understand full well the possibility of my brain spinning mundane events out of proportion, and that I could be wrong about the nature of them, but it sure feels supernatural. I don't understand the point of any of it, and the only one that felt malicious, I get chills thinking about, is the man in the brown suit.
Be me. Be 14-year-old male. Love hanging out with friends after school. Hanging out at a friend's house, we'll call him Mark. Mark and I were playing video games and watching movies at his house. It's around 8 p.m. on the east coast of the USA during fall, so it's getting dark. We hear screaming coming from the backyard and think it's his sister getting kidnapped because 14-year-old minds run rampant. Run to the back door to be heroes. See no person outside. Instead, see a tall-ass demonic reptilian thing wearing a black hoodie and blue jeans. Doesn't make sense, this thing is definitely over 7 feet tall. Looking away from us at first until we shine a flashlight on it. Looks right at us with some huge gray eyes, like human eyes with gray iris. But huge. Me and Mark are obviously scared shitless and run back upstairs. Call his mom out of fear of being murdered. His mom picks the phone up and thinks we're on drugs when we start screaming and crying to her. She gets us to calm down after 5 minutes. Is your sister okay? Oh wait, .jpg, we forgot about his sister. Run to her room. Not there. Run to the back door to look for my sister outside. My sister isn't there either. Run back upstairs to tell his mom. Mom hung up and we called again. She doesn't pick up after about 12 calls. Call his dad. No answer. Realize that we didn't see the reptile alien demon gray-eyed thing outside. Check all windows and make sure everything's locked. Knock on the living room window. It's Mark's sister crying with cuts on her face. Let her inside and she's bawling her eyes out. Her eyes look dead. Ask her what's wrong and if she say the gray-eyed creature. She gets wide-eyed and starts nodding. She's scared as well. Says the creature attacked her. Never see the monster again. After 3 hours, Mark's mom came home. We tell her everything. She gets more worried over the cuts on Mark's sister's face. She asks us what the hell we did. Explain it wasn't us and get Mark's sister to confirm. Mom checks camera feed from the backyard. Mark's sister goes back to her room. Mom comes out saying we must be high because there was never anything out back. She also shows us the feed from inside and shows me and Mark playing video games all day with us not moving until his mom gets home. Ask her how Mark's sister got scratched up. She says Mark's sister hasn't even gotten back from the movies with her friends. Check my sister's room. She's not there. To this day, me and Mark question what happened because me and him definitely saw the same things, and me and him never did any drugs at all. Totally confused and just accepted the fact that nobody would ever believe me and Mark and got over it.
I'm scared about eternity. Think about it. Before you were born, there was eternity. The universe was born. Stars were built out of hydrogen clouds at an extremely slow pace. Those stars died and released stellar dust, which built even more stars. Some of that stellar dust coalesced into big chunks of rocks, and those rocks crashed into each other, and eventually the Earth was formed. Then the Earth underwent a process of 4 billion years to be the rock in which we live and thrive. And even then, we still had to wait 10,000 years of humanity to exist. Then there's you, struggling in a world where it's very easy for things to fail and die and wither. Thousands of people are born every second. Thousands of people die every second. Most of them live unremarkable lives, getting lost into obscurity as their families die and disappear. Some people go above and beyond others in their efforts to leave a mark in the books of history, the collective memory of humanity. Only a handful of these men and women made it to that collective memory, their bodies already turned into the very dust that made our planet and star. Soon, by our hand or nature's, those books will turn into dust as well, along with the rest of humanity, and their deeds will also be forgotten. Then, in 5 billion years, our sun will burn out and die, and swallow the Earth into it in the process, finally getting rid of any trace of humanity's existence in this place, along with our dust. Then another eternity will follow until all of the universe either dies away or crushes itself to the point of creating another universe. Then the process will begin anew, without us. We will be but a small grain of sand in the desert of time. Just think about it and despair.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check the Odyssey and Rumble pages for separate archives of previous broadcasts.